Hi folks, out Trig bagging again today. We're just going up to Tosson Hill. Can't remember the number in the book, but I'll let you know when we get there. So I've just parked down in Simonside Woodland Car Park and walked up through the woods. It's a good little warm-up coming up through the twisty trail of the woods. It's a bit of an incline, gets the blood pumping, and I think my fitness levels must be slightly on the rise because I'm not completely blowing out my backside. And the forestry people they're really starting to make some good headway now in terms of clearing up after Storm Arwen. I mean, it has been 12 months, but the little woodland near Lordenshaw's car park, if you're familiar with the area, that's now half cleared, or half. They've chopped all the straggly trees down, got them stacked up tidy. I wouldn't imagine it's going to be long before they do the other half. The big forestry machines parked up, and this area is getting well done, so I'll bring you back in a bit. The path is a bit squidgy. There is a little path that you can take off here, which takes you up towards the Simonside Ridge, but it is pretty slippy, and yeah, it's just hard going underfoot. Whereas if you carry on along this track, although saying that, this one looks like it's been well weathered. There is another track a little bit further along, and it's marked with a small cairn of rocks, or at least it used to be. I've not been along here for quite some time, so it's a shame I've not got a camera with a zoom on. So looking up at the Simonside Ridge, there's 4 or 5 people on the top, and silhouetted against the sun in the background, it would make a brilliant picture, but obviously it would be an absolute dot trying to catch it with a GoPro. But another day with no wind. Not too many people about. There's a few dog walkers out and kids enjoying themselves. This section of track here, it's like, genuinely it's like beach sand, which it's just the makeup of the landscape up here, and it obviously gets washed down when it rains and then it all gathers. But I quite like it because it's brilliant if there's any sort of deer footprints or animals of any description. You can see exactly what's been there. Some good little rock formations along this stretch, and the fact that all the trees have gone, it exposes them so you can have a bit of a look at them. So we've come up this track now, and this little attempt at a cairn is your turning point. You can see, I mean, the track's not very well trodden, but it's even less well trodden there. I'm heading off up in that direction, so I'm going to get my walking poles over because it can be a bit of an ankle twister, this one. We've just got up this little track here. It's doable. It is a bit lumpy bumpy underfoot, a bit wet, a bit slippery, and now we've got to the top where we reached the T-junction. So you could turn left, which will take you towards the Simonside Ridge. The steps of death, if you've done it, you know what I mean. You'll be blowing by the time you get to the top of them, but we're not going that way. We're going right up towards Tosson, and by the looks of it, it's still a walking pole job, so I shall bring you back when there's less fear of me breaking my neck. This is probably one of my favourite views in Northumberland from here now. So we're just about to go through the fence, carry on towards Tosson. But from here you can see, you can start to see up the Coquet Valley in the distance. As you pan round, you've got Rothbury in the distance behind us there. Well, that's actually, I always get this one mixed up. That's Thropton. You come around even further, you've got Rothbury in the distance, They keep coming round. The hill in the background there is the Simonside Ridge. So we're going to press on through the gate. I've actually seen 6 people now, which I suppose it's Sunday afternoon, but I didn't expect to see anyone. It's a lot quieter, this stretch of walk, compared to going up on the main ridge. So we'll crack on through here and get to the Trig point. Not far to go now. However, if you're thinking of doing this one along the same route from Simonside to Tosson Hill, at the moment, I've got to be honest, I wouldn't bother. The last probably 500 or 600 yards, maybe even more, have just been thick, peaty mud, slippery, boggy, over your walking boots depth. Not a particularly pleasant walk. It's all come back to me the last time I was up here, and the last time I was up here was actually it was below freezing. So although it was probably similar underfoot, everything was frozen, so you were just crunching your way through it and not sinking into the bog. But yeah, today it's tough going. So I think I've just about left myself enough time to get here, have a selfie on the Trig and get back before it gets dark. I've got my head torch, but I wouldn't mind getting back, as long as I get back onto the forest track before darkness. That'll do us, because the thought of walking along this kind of track in the dark isn't the best. So here we are, we've done it. Just have a look at the view from up here. It's a little bit misty and maybe not quite as clear as it could be, but nevertheless it's a belter. River Coquet winding its way through the valley at the bottom, and Rothbury in the distance. The Cheviot and Hedgehope. So all in all, thoroughly enjoyable. Another one that's ticked off. I'm going to have myself a brew, get my coat on because the wind's starting to pick up, the temperature's dropped, and I've got a bit of a sweat on coming up the hill, and now I'm starting to get a little bit chilly. So first things first, I'll get sorted. I'll bring you back in a minute. Oh, I've just consulted the book and we are on number 147, Tosson Hill. So that one's done. This feels like a proper Trig, this does, compared to some of them other ones that I've done that have been like a 20-yard hop, skip and a jump. This one's a little bit of blood, sweat and tears. I'm sitting here now, I'm going to have a nice refreshing hot drink, bit of a sandwich and a Kit Kat, and then we'll make our way back. But thanks for joining us. I'll get you on the next one. I decided to take a different way down from the way I went up, so hope you can pick this out in the distance, but there's a path winding up the hill there. That's the way I went up, and then I went around that headland, but then on the way back I've come down a path down there and I've just stuck to the forest track. It's quite a pleasant walk. There's a little explanation of the view that you've got in the distance here, looking out across that way. The wind's dropped off, it's a pleasant evening, and we've got the Simonside range behind us. So most people have gone there. I've seen a few people sat up there just having a coffee. And what a great evening. Well, not even evening, it just feels like it, because the sun just doesn't get high in the sky this time of year. So even starting out at lunchtime, you feel like it's going to be dusk very soon. But one little tip, if you've never heard it before, if you hold your arm at full arm's length with your fingers together, I will not do it into the sun, but like so, put your little finger on the horizon, and then for every finger above to the level of the sun, that tells you how long it is to sunset. So if you were to have your little finger on the horizon, let's have a look. Ah, my blooming screens. And then if it was 4 fingers above, that would be an hour to sunset. and then you have to judge it if it's any longer. But it's a useful little gauge if you, because it's all proportional to the size of your fingers, the length of your arms, and where the horizon is. So unless you've got sausage fingers, it works a treat. Anyway, catch you later.